Your mental health is just as important as your physical health. And I'm going to share with you some encouraging words to make sure that you are tending to your mental health. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Haleh Banani, empowering you with psychological tips and spiritual support. Bismillah, wassalatu wassalam ala Rasulullah. So with mental health, it is so critical that you prioritize it and you make sure that you're tending to your mental health as much as you do with your physical health. There's no shame in getting help. There are so many people who are struggling and they are suffering alone because they're too afraid to speak up. I was reading an article the other day saying that it's just unbelievable how many people are suffering and not maybe seeking help. And it is very important to recognize the importance of it. Now, what happens is that the fear of getting that stigma, the fear of maybe being ridiculed is so strong, and we really need to overcome it. Now, I know our community has come a long way. I graduated from my master's degree in 1998. At that time, there were hardly any counselors. There were psychiatrists and maybe psychologists, but very few therapists. We have come a long way, and people are seeing the value of it. It is being validated by the shuyukh and our Muslim community, and it wasn't like that 20 years ago. So we have come along, but we still have a long way to go. We really need to encourage our family members, if you see that they have any kind of issues, to recognize it and get them the help they need. I recently had a client who was diagnosed. I sent them to a psychologist to get their diagnosis, and they had bipolar, and the mother refused to believe it, and she just said, no, I don't think my daughter has it. I said, with all due respect, you're not a psychiatrist. This is what the test has said. And when professionals tell you, you just take what they say, but sometimes it's very hard. And I understand it's hard to take that label, and not accepting the label does not make the problem go away. And that's something very important to realize. And that's how I explained it to her, that if you refuse to believe that you have cancer or your child has cancer, God forbid, doesn't make the cancer go away. You're actually not treating it. And so it was a very profound moment when I explained it to the mother, got her on board, and had her, just apologize to her daughter that she was not accepting this diagnosis. And her daughter broke down, cried, and said, I was already dealing with so much, having this diagnosis, and then you kind of denying that it exists was very difficult. So we need to recognize when family members have a disorder and be there for them, support them, don't ridicule, don't belittle, don't be dismissive. One client actually told me, said, I wish I had cancer so that my family would show a little bit of empathy. She had a mental disorder, and she's like, I wish I had cancer, because not only am I not pampered or I'm not cared for, but I'm also dismissed and ridiculed. So we really need to be cautious about how we're treating individuals who in our family that may have these mental health issues. And for yourself, if you find that you're excessively depressed or you're excessively anxious, if you have like obsessive compulsive disorder, whatever it is, they are treatable. And there are many times that I have people that come in and they are struggling. They have been suffering for years, and within 4 to 5 sessions, I've come up with methodologies that are so effective and so solution focused. They are relieved, and they said, I wish I came years ago. So you don't have to suffer silently. You don't have to feel like your life is doomed. There are solutions. There are very effective ways. Make sure that you get the treatment that you need. And if your family, if anyone in your family has that, just be a source of support. You may not have the answers, you may not understand, but you can at least be there beside them. If someone had diabetes, you wouldn't ostracize them for taking medication. If you broke your arm, you wouldn't feel embarrassed to go to the doctor. So we really need to get over the stigma that we have about getting treatment for mental health. And no one even needs to know. If you don't want to announce it, you don't have to broadcast it. And now, especially since everything is being done online, you can get the treatment and the help you need without it being broadcasted. And that way, you take the steps steps to being at peace with yourself, because those who suffer from, whether it is anxiety, whether it is the depression, and whether it's bipolar, when you are just trying to deal with it on your own, many people actually end up resorting to using drug use as a way to self-medicate. Many of my clients have just, taken on smoking marijuana as a way to subside the anxiety. So not getting it treated, the problem is still going to be there. The symptoms are going to be there. Many people take it in their own hands to self-medicate, which is much worse, right? So it's better to get it treated professionally, take steps towards improving yourself. And if anyone in your family is suffering, be supportive, be understanding, and educate yourself. The best thing you can do is educate yourself and know what kind of symptoms they have and try to be as understanding as you can, because, it can get exasperated if you don't treat it. If you treat it, many of them can be managed, or sometimes you can just kind of cure yourself with the treatment, with cognitive behavioral therapy. Sometimes you need the combination of that and medication, but what you need to do is make sure that you take the first step, acknowledge that there's a problem, seek professional help, and be a source of support, and then educate yourself, because there's nothing worse than denying that you have a problem. The first step, I always tell my clients, I'm so proud of them for taking that first step, because acknowledging that you have a problem and seeking help for it is the most important step. So I pray that we can all get the support that we need and be a source of support for our loved ones and community members who are really struggling at this time. And make sure you call and you check up on people that may be suffering silently. And by you calling and showing that you care about them and you're thinking about them, it really may make the biggest difference in the world to them, that someone cares and someone is looking out for them. Thank you for tuning in. Assalamu alaikum.